23 seconds. That's how long it took Arsenal to score against Manchester City. By full time, 3-0. This was Enzo Maresca's first competitive match in charge of the club Pep Guardiola spent 10 years building. Was that a bad afternoon? Or was that the first real evidence of something bigger? 10 years, 6 Premier League titles, a Champions League, a tactical system so influential that Guardiola's former assistants and players now run some of the Premier League's most talked about clubs, each one adapting his ideas rather than copying them. You already know the trophies, they're not the reveal here. The real question was never whether Manchester City would miss Guardiola emotionally. Of course they would. The real question is whether what he built was a system, something that could survive its own architect leaving the building, or whether it was a machine that only ever ran because he was the one standing at the controls. Pay attention to this because everything else in this video is trying to answer that one question. Here's the part almost every retelling of Guardiola's City gets slightly wrong. Guardiola did not build City's academy. The City Football Academy opened in December 2014, an 80-acre site next to the Etihad, almost 2 years before Guardiola ever arrived. Manuel Pellegrini was already training young players alongside the seniors. The pathway existed first. Pep did not build the factory. He taught the factory how to connect to the first team. Phil Foden is the proof. In July 2017, Guardiola started a 17-year-old Foden in a pre-season match against Manchester United called the Performance Exceptional, then made the decision most academies never make. He kept Foden training with the seniors every day instead of loaning him out to find minutes somewhere smaller. Elite training every day plus controlled minutes at the top beat guaranteed minutes elsewhere. Foden has 6 Premier League titles now and just signed through 2030. The bridge figure between the Guardiola era and whatever comes next. That mechanism outlived him too. Mikel Arteta, Vincent Kompany, and Enzo Maresca all worked directly under Guardiola as a coach, as a player, and as a coach again, and each has since built his own version of those ideas elsewhere, rather than copying them. Kompany took a club built on direct physical football and turned it into a 101-point possession side. Maresca, brought back as continuity rather than a stranger, has pushed back on being called a copy. His City presses closer to man-marking than Guardiola's zonal shape ever did. Same root system, different accent. Here's where the tension actually sharpens. Pep is gone. Bernardo, Silva, and John Stones have both left the club. And on the very same day, Manchester City lost the Community Shield 3-0. City reportedly accepted a bid from Barcelona for Rodri, one of the most structurally important pieces of the entire Guardiola midfield system. The deal isn't officially completed as of this recording, but he's expected to travel for a medical this week, and both clubs are already treating it as close to done. Weeks earlier, Rodri had undergone a minor procedure after the World Cup and was working through a short rehabilitation. Maresca was still talking about him publicly as the kind of player any manager would want at the center of their team. Then, within weeks, City had accepted Barcelona's offer. One pundit put the connection plainly after the Community Shield. Rodri leaves a huge hole, and you could already see an aspect of that hole in the middle of the pitch that day. He was the player who scored the winning goal in the Champions League final in Istanbul the season City completed the treble. So Maresca isn't simply inheriting an intact machine and being asked to operate it carefully. He's inheriting a machine that is actively losing parts of itself at the exact same moment its architect walks away. And that is the part people underestimate about replacing Guardiola. You are not just replacing the manager, you are replacing the person who understood why every piece was placed where it was. The fullback stepping inside, the winger holding width, the midfielder waiting half a second longer before turning. Under Pep, those details stopped looking like instructions and started looking automatic. That is what Maresca is really inheriting. Not just players. Muscle memory. That reframes the entire question this video opened with. It's no longer just, can Maresca run this? It's, how much of what actually made this a machine is still here to run? Now go back to the beginning of this video. 23 seconds. Arsenal's Riccardo Calafiori scored almost before the match had properly started, the kind of goal that sets the emotional tone for everything that follows, whether or not the scoreline stays that lopsided. Kai Havertz doubled it before halftime. Martin Odegaard added a third early in the second half. City's clearest chance of the entire match came from Erling Haaland missing a cross in the opening minutes. After that, by Reuters' own description, limited threat for most of the afternoon. A team that for a decade had usually been the one imposing that exact kind of pressure on everyone else. Now, state this plainly because it matters, this is one match. The Community Shield is historically a lower stakes curtain raiser, not a league verdict. Nobody sensible treats one August afternoon as proof of an entire season. Some of that is timing too. Several senior players had only returned from the World Cup days before kickoff, forcing Maresca to spend much of preseason working with a younger group instead of his full squad. But it's still the first real evidence. And combined with Rodri's situation, the picture forming isn't just an adjustment period, it's genuine uncertainty. One more detail worth knowing before this ends. Guardiola didn't disappear from Manchester City entirely. The club describes his new role as a global ambassador for City Football Group. Technical advice across projects still connected to the organization. Gone from the touchline, not necessarily gone from the system he spent 10 years building. Pep Guardiola didn't just win with Manchester City, he tried to build something that wouldn't need him. A week after he left, the club lost its first competitive match and appeared close to losing one of the players who made his system work. Whether what's left is still a machine, or just very good pieces without the architecture that used to connect them, starts getting answered a week later at home to Bournemouth on August 23rd.